Hey guys, you're welcome to my channel today. Thank you so much for stopping by. In this video, we'll be cutting and sewing this dress with side gathers that you can see on your screen. So I'll go ahead and start drafting on my pattern paper before transferring to the fabric. I'll be using this pattern for both front and back, so I'll be marking the zipper allowance for the back. The allowance I'll be using is 1.5 inches, so I'm marking 1.5 inches all the way down to the length of the pattern paper. So this is going to be for the back. After marking the 1.5 inches and connecting all the lines, I'll start taking my points. The first point is the distance from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches. The next point is the distance from my shoulder to my under bust point, which is 13 inches. The next point is distance from my shoulder to my waist point, which is 16 inches. The next point is distance from my shoulder to my hip point, which is 24 inches. And the last point is the length of my dress. So what I have on the pattern paper is 36 inches for the dress length. I'm going to increase it when I'm cutting on my fabric. So after doing that, I'll connect all these dots. I'll rule straight lines across all these dots, okay? So the first line is the bust line, the second line is the under bust line, the third one is the waist line, the fourth one is the hip line. So I'm going to go ahead and label my lines, okay? So after doing that, I'm going to fold in the zipper allowance, okay? So I'll fold it before I start placing my measurements. After folding, I'm going to take my shoulder measurements, half of my shoulder measurements, okay? So my shoulder measurement is 16 inches. Half of 16 inches is 8 inches. So I'll place my tape from the center front and I'll go in by 8 inches. I'll indicate the 8 inches with a dot. On that 8 inches dot, I'll go down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope and I'll slant into the neckline area. The next thing I'll do is to go down by my armhole depth. So from the shoulder slope, I'll go down by 7 inches. So my armhole depth is 8 inches, but this is a sleeveless dress and I don't want the armhole area to be too open. So that is why I reduced it by 1 inch. So the line here is going to be my chest line, okay? So I made sure that what I have on the shoulder line is the same thing that I have on that armhole depth, okay? Which is about 2 inches away from my bust point. So after connecting the dot on the shoulder slope to the dot on the armhole line, I'm going to roll a straight line across. So this particular line is going to serve as my chest line. Another way to get your chest line is to divide your bust circumference by 6 and then you add 1.5 inches to that measurement. So the next thing I did was to divide this straight line into 2 equal halves. On the middle point there, I went in by half an inch and I indicated the half an inch with a dot. After doing that, I'll place my bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line. I'll also indicate that with a dot. The next thing I'll do is to connect from the shoulder slope to the center of the straight line, okay? That is the half an inch that I came inward with. And from there, I'll connect to the dot that I have on the chest line like this. After doing that, to take in my dart, I'm going to go in by half of my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. So I'll take the 4 inches on the bust line, on the under bust line, and on the waistline. To know the length of your darts, you can go down by 4 inches from the waistline, okay? So I went down by 4 inches from the waistline and I went in by 4 inches, which is half of my nipple to nipple measurement. After doing that, I'll connect the 4 dots into a straight line like this. The next thing I'll do is to go down on the bust line by 1 inch. I will indicate the 1 inch with a dot. After doing that, I'll take half an inch on both sides on the waistline. So I'll take half an inch to the left and half an inch to the right. After doing that, I'll connect from the 1 inch to the half an inch on the waistline, just like you see me doing, and I'll connect from there to the dart leg. So taking your dart is optional for this dress. So I'm just doing this for those that would like to take in their darts, okay? So after doing that, I'll start placing my measurements. On the chest line, I already have my bust circumference divided by 4. As you can see, the dart did not extend to the bust line, so I just added 1 inch for my stitching allowance. On the waistline, I'll place my waist circumference divided by 4. So if you are taking in your dart, go ahead and replace the dart, okay? And then you are going to add your stitching allowance. So like I said, taking the darts is optional, okay? So I'll go ahead and add my stitching allowance after placing my measurements. Then I'll connect from the waistline to the chest line like this. The next thing I'll do is to place my hip circumference divided by 4 on the hip line, and then I'm going to add my stitching allowance of 1 inch. The darts did not extend to the hip line, so I'll place my stitching allowance, and then I'll use the curved part of my ruler to connect from the waist to the hip like this. So after doing that, I'll place the same measurement that I have on the hip line. I'm going to place that same measurement on the base of the dress, and then I'll connect straight down. After doing that, guys, next thing I'll do is to continue marking my dart leg, which is half of my nipple to nipple measurement. Mine is 4 inches, so I'll mark the 4 inches all the way to the dress length, and then I'll connect it back to this dart leg as you can see me doing. Okay, so after connecting to the length of the pattern paper, the next thing I'll do is to come to the waistline here. I'll go in by 2 inches on the waistline. Okay, after doing that, I'll indicate the 2 inches with a dot. Next thing I'll do is to use the curved part of my ruler to connect from that 2 inches to meet the length of the darts. Okay, so just look at the way I'm placing my ruler. I'm just going to connect in a curve like this, and then I'll maintain the straight line from there. Okay, so after connecting, this is what I have. Okay, so I'm going to blend this part in case you notice any sharp edge. You can just go ahead and blend everything in. So after doing that, this is what I have. So the next thing I'll do is to cut the excess pattern paper from the side all the way to the armhole area. So I'm not going to come in by half an inch on the armhole area yet. The next thing I'll do is to take my neckline measurement. For the neck width, I'll be using about 4 inches. The neckline is really wide. It's kind of wide, so I'll go in by 4 inches. For the depth, I'll do 2 inches for the front, and for the back I'll do 1.5 inches. So I'm going to connect using my ruler like this. So I'll first of all connect that of the back, because we'll be cutting the back first. After connecting, this is what I have. If you want the width wider, you can do 4.5 inches. So I decided to go in by 4.5 inches, and as you can see on the thumbnail, the shoulder is quite small, so I decided to make the shoulder area 3 inches. So I reduced it by 1 inch. Now I'm going to connect it back to the armhole. So I'm using the straight part of my ruler to connect it back to the armhole. So that is why I did not cut out the armhole earlier. So now I'm going to trim off the excess part of the armhole, just like you see me doing. Okay, this is because I don't want the shoulder to be really wide. Okay, if you want the neck width to be wider, you know the depth is not that deep. Okay, if you want it wider, you can do 4.5 inches, and then you connect it back just like you see me doing. Just connect it back to the neck depth. Okay, so after connecting, this is what I have. So I decided to stick with the 4 inches instead of 4.5 inches because I want the width of the neckline to be moderate. So I'm going to cut out the shoulder slope. So after cutting, this is what I have. I'm going to open the pattern paper up. Okay, and then I'll reconnect the front neckline. So remember, the front neckline is 2 inches, so I'm going to connect the half an inch to meet the 4 inches neck width, as you can see. So after connecting, this is what I have. So the next thing I'll do is to adjust the zipper area. So on the waistline, I have 1.5 inches as my zipper allowance. I'll take out half an inch from that 1.5 inches just on the waist area. Okay, so connect from the 1.5 inches to the bust line. Okay, not up the way my ruler is placed. Just you can stop it on the bust or chest line, and then I'm going to connect from there to the hip line. So I placed my ruler in a slanted form like this, and then I connected to the hip line. This is to eliminate zipper bulge. So after doing that, I'll go ahead and cut out just like you see me doing. Okay, so the next thing I'll do is to cut out this part from the dress. Okay, so you are going to follow the straight line and then you follow the curved line just like this. And yeah, this is what we have. So we'll be using the other side to do a slash and spread method to get the pleats on the side. So I'll label the up, the down, the side and the center because the side is going to be on fold. Okay, so next thing I'll do now is to slash and spread this part. So go ahead and label it so you don't get confused. Okay, so I'll place my tape on the base and I'll measure what I have. And then what I'll do is to mark 1 inch apart. You can do 1.5 inches apart or 2 inches apart. It depends on what you want. So I'll be marking 1 inch apart just like this. After doing that, I'll place my ruler and I'll connect upward. Okay, so I'll connect everything upward. After doing that, I'll go ahead and number the lines. Okay, so I know which goes where. Okay, so after connecting all the straight lines, I'm going to number it from number 1 to number 6. Okay, and then I'm going to slash through like this. So I'll be spreading this on my fabric to get the gathers. Okay, after cutting, this is what I have. Next thing I did was to fold my fabric into two and I placed my pattern paper with the zipper allowance opened. So this is going to be the back. I'm cutting out the back first before cutting out the front. So I'll be adding half an inch to the neckline area, the shoulder area and the armhole area, which is going to be my stitching allowance. Remember, I already added 1 inch for my stitching allowance on the sides, so I will not be adding any stitching allowance to the sides. So I'll just cut the sides like this. So after cutting, this is what I have. Next thing I'll do is to notch the zipper allowance. Okay, just so I know where to start sewing my zipper from when I start sewing. Okay, so I'll remove my pattern paper. I have 2 pieces for this, and that is because I'll be fixing the zipper to the back. So this is what I have. So you can go ahead and cut out a facing for it, and if you have lining piece, you can cut out your lining piece. Okay, so you use it to pipe the neckline and the armhole area. Okay, so after cutting, I'll also fold my fabric into two and cut out the front. But before I do that, I'll fold in the zipper allowance because we don't need it for the front. Okay, so I'll fold it in and then I'll trim the front neckline. I'm trimming the half an inch that I added to it earlier. Okay, so after trimming, I'm going to fold my fabric into two, making sure that the center front is on fold. Okay, so after placing my pattern paper on the fabric, I'll go ahead and cut. So I'll be adding the same half an inch that I added on the neckline or the shoulders and on the armhole area, and then I'm going to cut out the side exactly as it is. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, I'll be increasing the length on the fabric. Okay, so the length of my dress is 45 inches, so I increased the length on the fabric. So after doing that, I'm going to remove my pattern paper and I'll open it up for you guys to see. Okay, so you can go ahead and cut out facing for the front also, or you can cut out your lining and turn both the neckline and the armhole area. So yeah, that is all for the pattern drafting tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave your questions in the comment section. See you in the sewing tutorial.